Yo, what's going on, guys? And we got some Buddy Hield news. So everyone, like myself, just thinks it's foregone conclusion. That was weird. A foregone conclusion. And I also just said and I never say because I pride myself on being a pretty good speaker. But Buddy Hield, we all thought, is a foregone conclusion that he would be going to the Dallas Mavericks. It just makes sense. Tim Hardaway Jr. with a lottery protected first round pick way down the road because of the salary and the additional year on Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract and the lack of second round picks that I believe the Mavericks have. To facilitate the trade for Buddy Hield, then Buddy Hield resigns on a 4-year, $60 million deal that pays him $15 million annually. Just made sense for everyone involved. But now, Grant Afseth, hopefully I said that correctly, ladies and gentlemen, because I do not want to ever mispronounce it. My name is Ciro Aseo de Coq. I don't expect people to be able to say my name. Okay, Americans call me Ciro. All right. But the Dallas Mavericks, according to Grant Afseth, are among the teams interested in pursuing Buddy Hield in a trade with the Indiana Pacers, according to Mark Stein of the Stein Line. Grant Afseth works for the Hoop Analysts Net, and he also works for Dallas Mavericks basketball for, I guess it's Fan Nation. But supposedly there is no traction in any talks involving the Mavericks. The Pacers are not inclined to make a trade involving Tim Hardaway Jr., and that the Pacers will likely want a sweetener in any trade involving Hield, with possibility of acquiring a first-round pick and part of the return. So supposedly the sweetener for a first-round pick and Tim Hardaway Jr. is there, but supposedly the Pacers are not inclined to make a trade involving Tim Hardaway Jr. Could it be for Richaun Holmes? Maybe, but it goes to show that if it does involve Tim Hardaway Jr., it's going to have to involve a first-round pick. That's no if, buts, or ands. That's just looking like it will be a foregone conclusion. So for me, I want to hear your guys' opinions. What do you guys think is going to happen here and why? I'm curious to see if we will see our man, Mr. Buddy Hield on the team, because look, it makes sense that they are setting up these preliminary discussion points like, hey, if it is Tim Hardaway Jr., we want it to be a bit, structured a little different than you guys are assuming. It's not going to be as easy as Tim Hardaway Jr. and a bunch of second-round picks, or Tim Hardaway Jr. and, a heavily protected pick. Maybe we want it to be top 5 pick, and I don't argue. This is kind of the diplomacy that goes into a NBA trade. And if you look at the Dallas Mavericks and you're like, okay, maybe can they do a different trade? Can they facilitate this without Tim Hardaway Jr.? Yes, it would have to be Richaun Holmes or Maxi Kleber. I do not believe Maxi Kleber would be the guy. They really like him. He's a good defender. Now, Richaun Holmes would have to be the guy, and then they would have to probably, at that point, use... I don't even know who else could be thrown into this because a lot of their roster is recently signed. So in my mind, it has to be around Tim Hardaway Jr. unless they are able to facilitate a Tim Hardaway Jr. trade around a 3-team trade where you send Tim Hardaway Jr. to another team. As we know that a few months ago, they were trying to use Tim Hardaway Jr. and JaVale McGee for Bojan Bogdanovic and Killian Hayes. That was a potential trade. So unless they're able to revisit that trade where they send Bojan Bogdanovic to the Pacers and they send Tim Hardaway Jr. and maybe, I don't even know how this would be done if they were trying to facilitate something along those lines, because it just makes my head hurt. But you get the idea that I was trying to make there. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, but that's it for me.